I think both for the minimum wage and
Yes.
they both follow the same
Exactly.
procedure.
Yes.
But they were the reading of the motion.
Yeah.
A second.
And even yesterday, on Sunday, because that's why we're so
Exactly right.
Yes, I came home yesterday afternoon, and they were walking up and down Wolf Road.
Saturday too. I told
No,
them
I
to
didn't
be
see them
here.
Saturday. And they were just walking up and down Wolf Road with those, I think they were.
I wonder. Yeah, you're right. They have sheets. Yeah, it must be in the same. Yeah.
I hope that's the case and that using kids to position.
Oh,
They look more like, well, no, I guess it's
yeah.
hard to know.
We'll see. Ready, Dan? Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the April regular meeting of your Board of Trustees. To honor our nation's heroes, and especially to honor the men and women in uniform in this room and who serve our community, please rise and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk Fitzgerald, good evening. May we have the roll call?
Certainly, Madam President. Trustee Hansen.
Here.
Trustee Timmick.
Here.
Trustee Allen.
Here.
Trustee Rudolph.
Here.
Trustee Sifferman.
Here.
Trustee Tyrrell.
Here.
All present.
Thank you. There are a few questions regarding the minutes that are in our packet on the omnibus tonight, so I'm going to pull those so that we can clarify that the minutes reflect what was actually recorded at our last meeting. So they'll be pulled from the omnibus and from our agenda tonight. Does any trustee have any other additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? Okay. Hearing none, we have a happy occasion, swearing in 2 officers. Chief Butts, thank you.
There was no seats for me, so Good evening, President Gallagher and members of the board.
Good
Tonight is a special night. I am proud and privileged to introduce to you and to the board and to the community our 2 newest officers that are going to be members of our department. Before I even get going, I have to say unofficially we did a head count. This has to be the biggest turnout for 2 of our entry-level swearing-ins in my 22 years here. I can say that with assurance. That's an unofficial count, but that speaks volumes as far as the importance of this milestone in these gentlemen's careers and with their families, and I know you're all very proud of them as we are too. Also, if I'd like to have the 2 of our police and fire commissioners come on up here, if you will. Chair Marcia Buell, who is the chair of the Police and Fire Commission for here, and Janet Dahl. Not available to come tonight was Jim Maragos, our 3rd commissioner, and thank you for coming out today. I just want to acknowledge them for the hard work that this commission does with the process when we hire new officers and the interview, and we have some fun too. It's a great commission to work with, so thank you for being here tonight and be a part of this.
Yes, they're 2 of our unsung heroes, so thank you.
Yes, they are, and former board members as well.
Yes.
Also, if Joe, Officer Haas, and Officer Fickey, if you'd stand up here next to me, please, and either side of me. A brief background on both of these men. Officers Haas and Fickey, by the way, this is Joe Haas and Taylor Fickey. They graduated from the Basic Training Academy, Police Academy, on April 13th after completing 14 weeks of intense training. And in that academy, they cover everything. Tactical, crisis intervention training, you name it. Too long of a list here to mention here tonight. But they've completed that and graduated on April 13th. Joe Haas holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Exercise Science from North Central College in Naperville. Taylor holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice Sciences from Illinois State University. Both officers are currently working hard in our comprehensive field training program. I think you guys are in week 2. That sound about right? And before we get going on the swearing in, it may take a little bit of time, but I think it's well worth the time. I've asked them to introduce all of their family members and extended family that are here tonight. Starting with you, Joe.
Thank you, Chief. All right, right here I have my parents, Connie and Ken Haas. I've got my my roommate and longtime friend, Eric Winmoller, another longtime friend, Paul Putong, my brother, Tim, my Aunt Kath, and my grandmother, Joan, my aunt and uncle, Jim and Terry Haas, a very close family friend, my Aunt Melody. And I've got Jenny and Joe Tardello and Tom and Tina, their parents. In the back row, we've got Christina and Nick, 2 of my cousins, and their children, Joey, Mikey, and Lily. And then my godparents, Mary and Mike Tardello. And then 2 more close friends of ours, Glenn and Darlene Cunningham.
Very nice. Welcome.
So this is my mother, Nancy. It's my aunt, Mary. It's my grandmother, Pat. My sister, Marissa. My stepfather, Bob. My cousin, Lauren. My Uncle Mike. My other Uncle Mike. We've got 2 close family friends back there, Amy and Therese. My Aunt Karen. My grandfather, Ben, who's a retired police officer. My cousin, Katie. And my Aunt Sue.
And before we start with the swearing in, I also want to present both of you the official certificate that I received on Friday from the state of Illinois, Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board, which on behalf of them, I award the certificate to both of you. It hereby certifies your fulfillment of all the requirements as prescribed by the Illinois compiled statutes and qualifies you as a law enforcement officer in the state of Illinois. Here you go, Joe. And Officer Vicky. Congratulations. Thank you. And without further ado, Clerk Fitzgerald, if you do the honors, please.
Here's the best view for a picture.
Right here.
I'm the least of your concerns.
Okay, so you'll just repeat after me. Please
I,
state your name.
Taylor Fickey,
Having been appointed to the office of
having been appointed to the office of
police officer
police officer
in the village of Western Springs,
in the village of Western Springs,
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the municipal code of the village of Western Springs,
and the municipal code of the village of Western Springs,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of police officer
the office of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Is this the-
Right, Chief.
Same thing. Please state your name.
I, Joseph Haas,
Having been appointed to the office of
having been appointed to the office of
police officer
police officer
in the village of Western Springs,
in the village of Western Springs,
in the county of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the municipal code of the village of Western Springs,
and the municipal code of the village of Western Springs,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of police officer
of the office of police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Again, On behalf of the entire department and the men and women that are also here from my department today, we wish you the best, very successful and safe law enforcement career. Congratulations again.
Officers Fickey and Haas, I'd just like to add, on behalf of the board, our congratulations first on graduating from basic training, the Basic Training Academy, which I'm sure was in no way basic. That's quite a kudo right there, but especially want to welcome you to join this fine police force that we have here. You join a number of excellent officers, sergeants, detectives, and of course our chiefs too. So welcome and thank you in advance for your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So you're welcome to stay for our entire meeting, but you do not have to.
Come on.
Yes, it is. Yeah, very nice.
Cake downstairs, yeah. Usually they do, yeah. Yes, they are.
But, oh, I know. I was sitting there thinking, wait, they're going to come.
No, that could be their mom.
Oh. I could probably be their grandma.
That brings our force up to capacity, right? That
Sorry?
brings us up to 21, full capacity.
Oh, in the force, I believe so.
I believe so.
I don't get to the outside.
Yeah. Do you know, Bill?
That brings us up to date.
Well, good evening to everyone remaining. Thank you for staying on. I'm glad you had the opportunity to see us welcome 2 new police officers to our force. That brings us, our force, I believe, up to full capacity, and that's always a happy occasion, swearing in new blood. So I'm glad you got a chance to see that. At this point, we will open the meeting up to public comments, but before I do, I would like to say that the trustees are well-versed in the pros and cons surrounding the Cook County minimum wage and paid sick leave ordinances. These are issues in which reasonable minds can and do differ. The trustees and I have spent significant time researching these issues, and we have heard from community members and proponents of both sides of this controversy at committee meetings, board meetings, via email and other forms of communication, as well as independent meetings at the request of the committees on both sides of the 2 groups. So I am confident that each trustee is well prepared to vote and that vote will reflect, in their opinion, what is best for Western Springs. We have heard from many of you, and I think we've heard it all, but if anyone has something new to add, you're welcome to address the board. I do ask that you adhere to our 3-minute public comment guideline for public speaking so that we may expeditiously move on to tonight's business. But anyone who wishes to address the board this evening is welcome to approach now and take the microphone. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board tonight? So please make sure the button's pushed up and state your name, please.
My name is Mary Klanowski, and I am co-president of the LaGrange Area League of Women Voters, and we have a number of Western Springs members of the league. So on their behalf, I would like to make a statement. The League of Women Voters may be best known for voter registration and candidate forums, but we also, through careful study and a grassroots consensus process, adopt positions on public policy, which allows our members to advocate on those issues. With regard to the minimum wage, the League of Women Voters of the United States takes the following position as published in Impact on Issues under Social Policy, Meeting Basic Human Needs. The League supports programs and policies to prevent or reduce poverty and to promote self-sufficiency for individuals and families. The current minimum wage in Illinois of $8.25 per hour yields an annual income of $17,160 for a full-time 40-hour per week worker. Clearly, this is far less than is needed to be self-sufficient in this particular geographical area. We also note that the ordinance does not apply to persons under the age of 18, nor does it apply to seasonal workers. The League of Women Voters of the LaGrange area has members in 13 municipalities, including Western Springs. So on behalf of our Western Springs members, we urge you not to opt out of the Cook County minimum wage, but I think in this case you are reconsidering it, am I right?
That's right.
Yeah. We urge you to reconsider it and vote in favor of both the minimum wage and sick time ordinances. Signed, Patricia Rocco and Mary Klonowski, co-presidents, League of Women Voters of the LaGrange area. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? To push
Just
it
push
up.
up, yeah. The green button.
You want to slide towards the top?
Yeah.
There you go.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All I have is a statement about I was very pleased with the village finally, after a couple of years of speaking about it, on the walk over bridge, that it was the brush was cleaned out 5-6 feet back from the walkway, and it now looks more presentable and safer to the public that crosses back and forth, and hopefully it will curtail the meetings at the evening meetings that they have up against the wall. Different people that come on in the evening. I
Right.
live just down, 2 houses down from that. So we see a lot of strange cars. When I mean strange, they don't belong in that area. They park by my house and then they go out by the wall in the forest area. So this looks a lot better, and I'd like to thank Matt and company and whoever was involved in getting that done. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming back to say that. Director Supert, I'm sure, was integral in getting that done, as was
I'm sure he was.
Village Manager Belkme.
Yes.
So thank you. Yeah.
Everyone involved, thank you.
And could you remind us of your name again, please?
Jerry Olszewski. I'm on Western Avenue. Thank you.
And I wanted to tell you, I'll be seeing Congressman Lipinski next Monday, and I will bring up the issue about the airplanes to him at that time. Okay.
And they're not 1,000 feet up in the air the way they said.
All right.
Not when I can wait for the people.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none. Oh, yes.
I wasn't here for the,
Jay, you have to use the microphone, please.
I didn't know about the swearing of the 2 officers, but I wasn't here for that reason, but I'm glad I was witness to it.
Yes.
I'm gonna.
Can you speak in the microphone, please?
There you go. Can you hear me?
And state your name too, please.
Hello?
Yes.
Is this better?
I don't know if it's on or not.
I think you're good.
It should be on, with if there's.
Hello?
a light.
There you go.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Well, my speech was 7 minutes long, so I'm going to just cut to some chase.
State your name too, please.
My name is Jay
But we won't
Aldrich.
count that in the 3 minutes.
It was, they were obviously put down as Jake Eldridge, so I don't know who he is. I'm sure he's a fine individual. But my name is Jay Aldrich. I live on Central. And I know probably heard me before. I've sent you a letter. You know, these policies that Cook County have suggested, it's the same Cook County that gave us the sugar tax. That was a disastrous policy. And if you don't believe me, talk to the manager at the Jewel in Countryside. She lost sales to the tune of $30,000 in revenue a week. It wasn't because people drank less pop, because they went to the Westmont Jewel in DuPage County. And I did too. I had to buy pop for a birthday party. It saved me $11 on one visit. So people will change their behavior when you have a bad policy. The marketplace will adjust. It doesn't care what my position is. It doesn't care what the other side's position is. If it's a bad policy, the marketplace is going to adjust to it in ways we don't like necessarily, in ways that we might not foresee, like the sugar tax. So I don't know if I trust Cook County. I have to be honest with you. Now, to their credit, they rescinded it. It was so bad that even Cook County rescinded that rule. But anyone who took Economics 101 should have foreseen what was going to happen. It was predicted and predictable. Now, the minimum wage is $7.25 nationally. It's $8.25 in this state. It's low. It's not meant to be a target. It's not meant to be a living wage. The living wage, as I calculated for you, I'd be happy to share my math, to live in this town is $55.27 an hour if you go off the median household income. Okay? We're not going to make that. That's obviously fantasy. So we need to concentrate on a policy that doesn't hurt business, okay, and it's going to encourage jobs. It's really simple. So the minimum wage now is a problem when you elevate it to at or above the prevailing wage going on. You get hired at Casey's, you're going to get paid $9. In less than 2 months, it's going to go to 11. That's a 22% hike. Now, do you think that's going to have an impact? I do. So, you know, if you're a new business owner who's like, okay, I want to open a business here in this area, County Line Road is a stone's throw. You know, and so it's a scale tipper for sure. Do I go east or west of County Line? So we have to think about, you know, all these policies, they sound great, and I wish they worked. Because this sounds great. Put the minimum wage here. But it doesn't exist in a vacuum. There's going to be unintended effects. There are going to be probably some that we didn't even think about. But I think it's going to result in less jobs offered, less hours worked, less people employed, and maybe some people let go. If you guys really cared about raising people's wages, you would stress education, skills, preparing them for the workforce. That's how we solve the problem. And I had a minimum wage job. I got paid $125 as a runner on the exchange floor. I was the bottom rung of the ladder. I was below the ground. It was such a bottom level job. It was, I calculated, I looked it up, it was 20 cents below the minimum wage rate in that year. I don't know how they got away with it, but I got, you know, so that's how low it was. It was my entry into my career. We need to give our children entry jobs. They need to learn job skills. And don't get me wrong, I love the workers in this town. I feel for the people that can't make ends meet. Okay, I do. But you have to look at reality. And elevating the wages to where Cook County is you know, going to kick in July is too high. It's going to have deleterious effects. So I respectfully submit that. I know I've taken up too much time, so I'll just leave it at that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the actual motions. Trustee Timmick.
Yes, so we're going to address a number of motions this evening. As we discussed previously, we will address the minimum wage benefit as well as the paid sick leave independent of each other. And just for clarification for the vote, a aye vote is status quo, meaning you are voting to stay with the current state and remain opted out. A nay vote would mean you are wanting village staff to draft an ordinance for us to then officially opt back in. So, just to be clear on that. So assuming if the votes are tallied in such a way that we do, the nays prevail, then we would vote separately then on the individual ordinances as well for each of those. So we'll vote on those individually. So first I'll make a motion for the Village of Western Springs to remain opted out of the Cook County Minimum Wage Benefits Program.
I second that motion.
And pay, oh, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, and in that case, roll call?
Trustee Hansen?
Nay.
Trustee Timmick?
Nay.
Trustee Allen?
So I just want to take 1 second. We got a lot of thoughtful comments. I think they ran from our residents, majority wanting to opt in. I think they definitely want to support and have strong local businesses in the community. I personally think the minimum wage of 8.25 is too low. I think inflation adjusted would get it well over 9. We also have the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. However, I'm not sure I understand the $13 an hour rate. I'm also skeptical when legislators exempt themselves from these ordinances. And I've never run a business where I've had to be responsible for doing payroll and all the challenges that entails. So for those reasons, aye.
Trustee Rudolph?
No.
Trustee Sifferman?
Nay.
Trustee Terrell?
I had something else to say as well. I've received many emails and letters expressing both sides of this minimum wage issue. The business community has professed its interest in keeping the village's businesses open and efficiently functioning. The Stand Up for Western Springs Committee, who along with the many other citizens of this village have acted on their own and operated quite admirably, unselfishly, and with nothing personal to gain except a spirit to do what's right to our village, have educated me. Each side has provided many facts and opinions to sort through. I've read them all and remain appreciative to each view. This is a difficult decision, the equities being very closely balanced. I have to weigh what is best for the village, the villagers, and the business community. In my judgment, we should opt out of the county's minimum wage ordinance. There are 100 businesses in Western Springs. Most of them are family-owned, small enterprises. I believe a good number of these businesses would be impacted directly if the county minimum wage requirement, given the patchwork municipality by municipality application, which if Western Springs was to opt in, would create an unfair disadvantage to these businesses. I believe this is a statewide issue, which is one which is probably and possibly going to be decided for a good term for all the workers in November across the board for the entire state. There may be some Western Springs residents who would be directly impacted financially if the village were to opt into this ordinance, but I think the benefit of those residents are outweighed by the negative consequences to the village businesses, which I believe would be affected adversely. So my vote is aye.
Thank
4
you.
nay, 2 aye.
4 nay, 2 aye. Thank you. Yeah, that was a very difficult decision. I know you all researched it thoroughly and appreciate your thoughtful comments on it. I personally do believe that Cook County overstepped their legislative authority when they adopted these ordinances, but the fact is these ordinances are in place, and a majority of the trustees have now voted to opt in. Thank you. Trustee Timmick.
I make a motion for the Village of Western Springs to remain opted out of the Cook County Paid Sick Leave Benefits Program.
I second that motion.
Trustee Hansen?
Nay.
Trustee Timmick?
Nay.
Trustee Allen?
Aye.
Trustee Rudolph?
Nay.
Trustee Sifferman?
Nay.
Trustee Terrell?
Aye.
4 nay, 2 aye.
Thank you. The trustees have, a majority of the trustees have voted also to move forward with opting back in. And so continuing on to those motions, Trustee Timmick.
I make a motion to direct the village attorney to draft an ordinance for village board action that repeals a portion of ordinance number 2017-2891 to allow the village of Western Springs to opt into the Cook County Minimum Wage Benefits Program.
Second.
Second.
That's another roll call. Okay. Trustee Hansen?
Wait.
Aye.
Nay.
No, you want
Oh,
aye on this one.
aye, okay, I'm sorry. This has been very confusing. Aye.
Trustee Timmick?
Aye.
Trustee Allen?
Nay.
Trustee Rudolph?
Aye.
Trustee Sifferman?
Aye.
Trustee Terrell?
Nay.
And finally, Trustee Timmick.
I make a motion to direct the village attorney to draft an ordinance for village board action that repeals a portion of ordinance number 2017-2891 to allow the village of Western Springs to opt into the Cook County Paid Sick Leave Benefits Program.
Trustee Hansen? Oh, second motion, pardon me.
I'll second.
Second.
Trustee Hansen?
Aye.
Trustee Timmick?
Aye.
Trustee Allen?
Nay.
Trustee Rudolph?
Aye.
Trustee Sifferman?
Nay.
Trustee Terrell?
Regarding this motion and determining what is best for the village, I believe that opting into the earned sick leave ordinance is in the village's best interests. I'm convinced that providing this benefit would directly impact the health and safety of the village businesses and those who frequent them. I understand that the earned sick leave requirement would impose upon the village's businesses extra bookkeeping. I also am not naive to think that this might not be abused by individuals, but I think that those consequences are far outweighed by the health and safety that I think that this opting into this would provide the village. So I would vote on this one nay. Is that right?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
4-2 on that as well?
5-1 on that one.
5-1,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, thank you. So this constitutes our vote. It will be on the omnibus at our next month's regular meeting, but our staff now has direction to draft these ordinances, and we will not be looking at this issue on its merits again. So you're welcome to attend those meetings, but it's not necessary. Thank you, everyone. I want to thank both sides for their respectful and diligent and peaceful, if you will, lobbying on behalf of your positions. It's been a pleasure dealing with both of you, and thank you for your interest and your concern. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 6. Trustee Rudolph.
Thank you, President Gallagher. We are looking at a motion to approve ordinance 182917, providing for the issuance of $1 million general obligation promissory note, Series 2018 of the village, for the purpose of paying the costs of purchasing rolling stock for the village and for the payment of the expenses incident thereto, providing for the security for and payment of the note, and authorizing the sale of the note to the First National Bank and Trust, LaGrange, Illinois.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? No?
Well, yes, I was trying to be polite.
Wait,
and allow people a chance.
No, you got to be fast.
Yes, no, I see that. So this is this promissory note is the most expensive option we can do. It's 100% financing at the maximum 10-year term. These rolling stock vehicles are not pledged as collateral on the note, as far as my understanding. So they're in some ways independent. But I was very concerned about the comment about our cash situation being dire. I have a lot of respect for our finance director, and that caught my attention. I've been trying to look into this. If you look at our debt level in the last 5 years or so, it's up almost $8 million, about 65%, while a lot of that is through the IEPA loan. It means we're not paying off or paying down our debt. And keep in mind that's during the economic expansion. In terms of our cash situation, as long as I'm reading this correctly, in our March finance report, it says we have $5.6 million of cash CDs and marketable securities in our general fund, $2.6 million in our special purpose reserve, We also got this in the mail from Cook County. This says this is our first installment property tax bill. It says our percentage of pension and health care costs the taxing district can pay is down to 47%. That's third lowest out of 10. So I guess, I understand there's going to be some more looking into this in the future, which is great. I applaud that. But I just don't know why you would make a decision tonight on this until you have all the facts that are in. It's the most expensive option, as I mentioned, and I just feel very uncomfortable tagging our residents with $162,000 of extra costs for this without knowing. I've been on here 3 years. I've not once seen the details on the special purpose reserve. That seems to be one of the main holdups as to why we really need this. And so for all those reasons, I'm uncomfortable supporting this at this time. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you. I understand that, but I do want to clarify, we do pay down our debt. We pay our debt timely, and we have one of the highest ratings.
So what I mean by that, Alice, so yes, you're right, we have a AA rating. Our debt has grown by $8 million.
I understand
so
that.
What we're paying down, we're putting on more debt at an equal rate. That's through 2016. We're supposed to see 2017. And then on top of that, we're going to put the $5 million for the IEPA loan, plus a second tranche of the roadway. So you can say we are paying down our debt, and that's an absolutely truthful statement. But the point is over the last few years, we've been adding more debt and are anticipating to add more debt. And I just don't feel we should be passing that on to our residents without a better understanding.
Well, understood. Did you want?
No, thank you, Trustee Allen, for continuing to push this issue and for us to look into this further. I really appreciate the comments. We do have several obligations that we are already committed to for the Special Purpose Fund, and we will be going into more detail on that in the May 7th meeting as well. But I appreciate, again, your continued scrutiny.
Can you, have you seen it, like what these commitments are? Can you elaborate on it, or?
Yes.
I can go to my packet for that.
So we actually did review some of this in the Finance Committee meeting just prior to this, in preparation for the session that we'll have with the broader board.
We have a number of projects right now that are kind of in the unknown that we know that are coming up. The balance of the East platforms is something that we're going to have to take money out of the Special Purpose Fund. We also have the West Underpass, which is a very large item, and we are hoping to see that number go down. But in the event that it doesn't, we need to have the Special Purpose Reserve Fund to rely on. So we are very careful about that. And in the past, we have never used the Special Purpose Reserve Fund for any rolling stock. That has been the policy here for all these years. So,
well,
there's also Bemis Woods too.
Correct. Yes, Bemis Woods, and we also have a transfer to E911, transfer to the Right-of-Way Grant Fund, transfer to BNN, and transfer to the General Fund. So we do have a number of items.
I want to comment. I can't find it, but I believe in our CAFR. It does say that one of the potential uses of the Special Purpose Fund is when we have unfunded capital projects. So whether we have used that or not, it is something we've stated to our residents. And I was just trying to do the math as you were talking about that, because I'm still not quite getting 2.7 million relative to that need. And plus the excess that we have in the General Reserve Fund. So again, the point is that until there's really some clarity as to why, we're in a dire cash situation with over $8 million of cash, I think that's a really bad trade. Last year we learned that the IMET bond fund earned 0.01% on about $1 million. That's $100. The rate on this note is $295. So that's $29,500. This is really not a very good economic trade to do that, to keep money in the bank and go out and borrow money. So again, the logic just is escaping me, and I think it's really more clarity as to these special projects. And really, if we can't afford even just our ongoing operations and ongoing infrastructure, then I guess I question why we're doing so many special projects if we, have a situation where we're just keepingly increasing our debt levels.
Well, it's my understanding that this is how we've always funded these types of purchases, but
Well, that may absolutely be true, but that doesn't mean that's the right decision to make.
Right.
I mean, the point is the decision adds $160,000 onto the cost. And I personally wouldn't want to tag our residents without knowing more. If you guys are comfortable with it, you should vote for it. But until you've seen it all, I know I haven't, then that's my hang up with it. And I don't know why waiting a couple more weeks to get this clarity so that other trustees that aren't on the Finance Committee can see that is such a bad idea. That's all.
I do believe it's a timing issue in that we want to get these vehicles for the season coming up, the construction season. But Grace, I don't know if you want to add to the discussion about the general reserve fund and the amounts in there. And
yes, the amounts in the special reserve fund, which had started out at $2.7 million, have been accounted for, and basically by the end of 2018 we should only have about $400,000 left, because we have several large commitments of projects, including the underpass. As far as the general fund reserves fund, which is going to be at about $3.9 million, we have to keep in consideration that this year we have several unknowns, which are going to be the IRMA contribution of about $300,000. We also have to worry about what the state's going to do to us with the income tax, because we're going to see another reduction. And we also have to include what the pension funds are going to do in terms of the increase on the property tax levy. So all those unknowns, we have to keep enough cash available to take care of those obligations. If the board chooses to reduce the policy from 30% to another %, that's a policy issue, and we will do it accordingly. But at this point, it's 30%, so that gives us about $3.6 million that we have to keep on reserves. At that point, we can choose to use those funds to do other projects.
Thank you.
So that is actually a couple things that Grace and I adamantly agree on. Is the pension fund, and that has been a blob on our finances over the last several years and continues to be. The share of the state funds has gone down, as she noted in the 2016 CAFR. But yet again, then you have to kind of question what does our sort of 3 to 5 year cash projection look like if there's all these unknowns. And this project, this West Underpass, we've been talking about that for 10 years, I bet, or close to that. The bike path that was mentioned, I'm not even sure the status of that. That was a multi-year project as well, too. So, I guess I feel like what we're saying is, well, we have all these unknowns, which might be true, but in the meantime, let's sock our residents with another $160,000. And I keep bringing that up because the 3 trustees that are new weren't here when we had to go through all of the across-the-board fee increases from vehicles, permits, and also the water rate. And about half of this is coming out of the water rate. We're already above the peer median slightly on our combined water and sewer rate. This does nothing except even add to that cost. And we haven't finalized the well number 5, which we heard is at least $3 million, but we haven't talked about the financing for that as well either when we add that cost on too. So I just, we can keep saying, well, we have unknowns and we want to have cash, and that makes some prudent financial sense. But I think until you really feel comfortable with it, again, I don't know why you would want to decide to sign a contract for a promissory note until you really know what our fiscal looks like.
I don't think that characterization is really fair. We are all very concerned about passing on costs to residents, but we are also very fiscally conservative, and we don't want to give away our 30% buffer, if you will, and then find that we need it. we have to be conservative in our municipal financial dealings, and we certainly are always looking for other sources of revenue to help allay the passing on of the cost to our residents. So none of this is taken lightly by any means. Anyone else? Anything else?
I mean, I do feel that maybe Trustee Rudolph and I are at a slight advantage because we've had an opportunity to look at the numbers, but I do feel that this is an appropriate way to manage this when we look at the need for these vehicles. And also, the discussion around uncertainty is, I don't think it's necessarily the uncertainty of the dollar amounts, it's perhaps the uncertainty of the timing of when things are going to hit. And from my view, $160,000 is significant, but it does help us maintain some flexibility with our fund levels so that we can address these other projects. There is a lot going on, but I think that that's a sign of progress, and we want to keep moving forward. And I think, from my perspective, this is reasonable.
Thank you. All right.
do we move to?
Anything else? It's a pen. So roll call, please, Bridget. Thank you.
Trustee Hansen?
Aye.
Trustee Timick?
Aye.
Trustee Allen?
Nay.
Trustee Rudolph?
Aye.
Trustee Sifferman?
Aye.
Trustee Tyrrell?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the omnibus. The Illinois state statutes allow a municipality to collectively vote on a group of ordinances, resolutions, and other motions, such as awards of contract, appointments, etc. This is known as an omnibus vote. All the items contained on the omnibus vote list have been previously discussed by the President and Board of Trustees on at least one occasion, and often on several occasions. By placing them on the omnibus vote list, a single vote may be taken to approve them. A trustee may remove any item from the list and have it discussed and voted on separately prior to the omnibus vote. Is there any such request this evening?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, just as President Gettler, as you directed, we'll remove number 7.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Trustee Tim.
And I would like to remove number 8.
Okay. So we'll vote on that separately.
Okay. Moving forward then, President Gallagher, I move that the following ordinances, resolutions, and motions as contained on the meeting agenda for April 23rd, 2018 be adopted and/or approved under an omnibus vote. Skipping item number 7, skipping item number 8, moving to item number 9. Resolution 18-2433, approving budget amendment and transfers over $10,000 to the fiscal year 2018 operating budget in the general fund. Agenda item number 10, Resolution 18-2434, approving and authorizing the execution of a third addendum to the market license agreement between the Village of Western Springs and Bensidon USA, Inc., relative to the operation of a French market in the village for the 2018 market season. Agenda item number 11, motion to waive the competitive bidding process and to approve the purchase of one John Deere 3046R compact, including the tractor, cab, and related equipment from Shorewood Home and Auto under the Illinois, and related equipment from Shorewood Home and Auto under the Illinois Association of County Board Members, IACBM, competitively bid pricing for a total cost of $43,984.08. Agenda item number 12, motion to approve temporary use, temporary structure permit for an outdoor light ceiling for the snow cone parlor and public sidewalk adjacent to 1062 Hillgrove Avenue, applicant Tropical Snow. Agenda item number 13, motion to approve a license and release holding harmless and indemnification agreement for temporary use permit for the Field Park Fit Family 5K Run, Walk, and Kids Dashes on the 2018 event. Finally, agenda item number 14, motion to approve a temporary use permit for a mobile food vendor cart operated by Old Town Red Hots, Inc., doing business as Old Town Red Hots.
Is there a second to the motion?
I will second.
Okay. Roll call vote, please. Clerk Fitzgerald.
Trustee Hansen?
Aye.
Trustee Timick?
Aye.
Trustee Allen?
Aye.
Trustee Rudolph?
Aye.
Trustee Sifferman?
Aye.
Trustee Tyrrell?
Aye.
And President Gallagher.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then moving on to agenda item number 8. I believe that comes out of Public Works.
That's right.
Okay. Do you want to make the motion, or would you prefer someone else did it?
The motion to...
You read the motion.
Oh, I'll read the motion.
Motion to-
Authorizing and approving the execution of a professional services agreement between the Village of Western Springs and ESCA Consultants, Inc., structural engineering subcontractor of James J. Bennis and Associates, Inc., regarding the Ridgewood Oaks Detention Basin project with a not-to-exceed fee of $30,000.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All right, and discussion?
So I guess I called this one, so I get to start. We spent a lot of time at a prior board meeting trying to kind of nail down the costs on this project. I guess I'm still confused on it for those reasons and not comfortable voting on it tonight.
Okay. The structural engineering subcontractor arises out of the fact that I think the soil was poor, Jeff, if that's correct, and then it has to do with building the structural, instead of a berm, the structural wall to retain floodwater.
Yes, that is correct. It's as simple as that. The methodology through the structural requires us to have a structural engineer on board to look at all and it's a significant structure. It's not a minor structure by any stretch of the imagination. And it's going to hold 4 feet of water at its average depth, about 4 feet of water back. And we do know that there are complicated soil-related issues that underlie the area. So it's best that the village have a structural engineer on board to address those issues.
So this fee is really for the structural engineering design, or just consulting fees?
That is for the actual design. They will look at all the individual soil information that are out there, and then actually design a wall and its support systems to make sure that the integrity of the wall is maintained for the duration of the, it's a 100-year or so lifespan of a typical structural retaining wall. So,
I'm just curious, how long does it take a structural engineer to come up with a design for this and everything?
Well, every single wall is different, given the different soil conditions and things like that. And so I would hate to speculate on how long it took anybody to actually do the design. We're talking about soil conditions, and then we're talking about structural aspects of the wall. So it deals with the footings and overturning of the walls, support of the load which the water puts on it, which is a direct load. It's not like you're building something in soil, it's actually standing up above the soil. And so it's a little more complex than your typical retaining walls. The retaining walls, for instance, the retaining walls that are related to the platforms are much simpler in design than they are for this particular project.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else on that? Okay, Clerk Fitzgerald, may we have the roll call vote?
Certainly, Madam President. Trustee Hansen?
Aye.
Trustee Timick?
Aye.
Trustee Allen?
Nay.
Trustee Rudolph?
Aye.
Trustee Sipperman?
Aye.
Trustee Terrell?
Aye.
President Gallagher?
Aye. Thank you. Okay, that motion passes. Moving on, is there any other business any trustee wishes to address this evening? No, then we'll move on to the reports. Monthly financial report, Trustee Rudolph.
Thank you, President Gallagher. Presenting or making some summary remarks on the information in your packet. So our investments as of March 31st, 2018, the IMET fund, just to clarify for everyone, in your packet it notes that the convenience fund earned 1.47% for the month of March. That's in fact the average daily yield, and the actual earning is 0.2% for the month. Similarly, the police pension fund had negative results with an unrealized loss of 0.41% for the month. So a 12-month return still of 10.5%. The general fund, interesting to note, the sales tax that was earned in December and distributed in March were 24.4% higher than the same period last year. This is the highest distribution in the last 5 years. Otherwise, revenue and expenditures are as projected for the general fund. The water and the sewer funds, the consumption billed in March for the December to February was slightly higher at 1.1% over last year's time period. And finally, the capital improvement fund, just March expenditures were for office furniture, computer equipment, and boardroom improvements. So any questions on the performance of or the status of the funds?
Just one, did we find out about the previous period, the volume being down 20%?
Email I sent you, what we think happened was that last year was an anomaly because we went back 3 and 4 and 5 years, and those years match up with the consumption as this year. So last year, which was a significantly higher year all the way around, was the issue, not so much that we are selling less water this year.
Thank you.
And then also, we met this evening with representatives from the library to review, I'm sorry?
We just had to make a motion to accept the monthly report.
All right. I'll make a motion then to accept the monthly report.
I'll second.
Thank you.
A roll call vote. Trustee Hansen.
Aye.
Trustee Timick.
Aye.
Trustee Allen.
Aye.
Trustee Rudolph.
Aye.
Trustee Sifferman.
Aye.
Trustee Terrell.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, now moving on.
All right,
Thank
moving
you.
on. Second update is that we met with the library representatives, and at our May 7th meeting, we'll hear more about the plans for the construction. They have, and you had in your packets, I believe, some new information, including a timetable, a bond council update, and again, they will cover that with us at the May 7th meeting. With that, no further report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rudolph. Moving on to my report, you'll see the Lawn Avenue roadway reconstruction streetscape. There is a presentation being prepared by staff, and it will be presented at our next meeting. I also wanted to give trustees a friendly reminder that the Statement of Economic Interest is due May 1st, so if you have not yet completed that, it's a simple process, but it needs to be done. Thank you. Village Manager Velkme.
Thank you, President Gallagher. Director Super, can you bring the screen down?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Last week or 2 weeks ago or so, following the meeting, Trustee Rudolph called me and asked me about the webpage, and she wanted to clarify where to get the information on I-294. And we started looking at it, and we decided, yes, we do have to make an effort to get that more prominent on the page so that people can easily access it. So we, under the facts section on the webpage, first question is, how do I, let's see.
Find more information.
Let me put my glasses on. How do I find more information about the proposed tollway expansion project? And if you go there, and then to the wsprings.com-294, or /294, there we have the information from the March 26th board presentation from the tollway. And then there's also the presentation, well, their slideshow that they gave at that meeting too. And then we have all the other information from them that we have taken also from their website, letters that we have sent, and letters that they have sent us. So all the information is right there. And just so you know that there are 3 meetings this week with regard to the Central Tri-State. The one that particularly we're interested in is in Burr Ridge on Wednesday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Marriott there. Mm-hmm. And following that, then we will be discussing a village-wide meeting also with the tollway officials. So I just wanted to alert you to that. And if anybody does give you, a call and asks about the I-294, if they're confused or so, please just send them our way, and we will discuss it with them. So.
Thank you. That's a great improvement.
And that is my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Village Attorney Jurusik?
No report tonight.
Thank you. In that case, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
They'll be resubmitted for review and consideration.